Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. This is Robert Chappell, Executive Editor at Madison365, with your daily coronavirus update for the state of Wisconsin for Saturday, May 30th. We're a little bit late getting to you today because I spent a good portion of the afternoon downtown Madison covering the Justice for George protest there. I'll talk a little bit more about that in a little bit. Um, it was a peaceful event. 99% of the people had masks on. It was very nice, but it was good to be there, and I got some great video and photos, and we'll have more coverage of that later tonight or first thing in the morning. Today, the news is not bad. Except that my printer didn't work, so I'm going to be looking at my other computer. So if I'm looking to the side, if you notice me looking not at you and off to the side, that's why. Today we have blown past 18,000 cases, as we expected. We are now at 18,249, and that is an increase of 465, which is somewhat lower than yesterday. However, it was fewer tests also, so the percentage of positive tests remained at just over 5%. It didn't go down, didn't go up. So that's sort of no news is good news kind of situation, I guess. We did have 19 deaths, which is the same as numbers we had yesterday. We'd prefer to see that going down. Of those deaths, they were pretty spread out. 5 were in Waukesha County. 3 were in Kenosha County, which is still kind of in the throes of an outbreak. 2 were in Brown County, 2 were in Waukesha County, and the rest were just one person here and there across the state. The largest local increase today was Milwaukee County, as it has been for the last several days. 174 new cases there. Their percentage of their positive test percentage is 7.5%. Not terrible, but higher than the state's average. Racine and Kenosha County down there in the southeast are continuing to see increases. They're having it's not quite as bad as it was last week, but it's pretty really bad. 62 new cases in Racine County today, 15.5% coming back positive. Kenosha County, 11.5% of tests coming back today with 34 new cases. And as I mentioned, those 3 fatalities there in Kenosha County. Dane County also continues a bit of an outbreak. 15 new cases today, over 100 in the past week, which is a lot. 15 new cases in one day is not that bad. With 174 Milwaukee County, Racine County, is a much smaller county than Dane County and has 62 new cases today. So 15 new positives today in Dane County doesn't feel like a lot. However, most of the past month, Dane County's been in the 2 to 3 a day range, right? So to increase by that much and to have a consistently increase, like every day this week has been 20 or more new cases. So that doesn't look good for Dane County. Now, you remember Dane County, after the Supreme Court overturned the safer at home order, Dane County and the city of Milwaukee both instituted their own local stay-at-home orders, right? And while the rest of the state opened up for the most part, except for maybe the city of Racine, a couple other spots. However, these increases that we're seeing in Dane County, basically, and in Milwaukee County for that matter, took place during those local lockdown orders when the rest of the state was open. So Dane County reopening this past Tuesday would not be reflected in these numbers yet, I don't think. So if Dane County reopening does have any effect, we'll see that probably in a week or so, and another week or so from now. Um, as I was saying, Dane County, the positive test rate here in Dane County is still around 4%, still better than the state average, but it's higher than it was. So that it's those trends you want to watch out for. Hospitalizations are down today, which is good. 409 people currently hospitalized. We had 423 yesterday, so that's down a good amount. 144 are still in intensive care. That's the same as it was yesterday. And there are 208 people hospitalized still awaiting test results. And it's still about 75% of those people who are in the hospital are in the southeast region of the state, which is to say Milwaukee County, Racine County, Kenosha County. Um, we are now at 62% have recovered, which is good news. 3.3% have died, so the death rate has not gone down. Somebody, I think, made that comment that death rate seems to be going down. It's not. We've had actually more fatalities daily in the past few days than There's a while there where we're in the single digits. The Institute for Health Measurement and Evaluation, which is one of the main from the University of Washington, one of the main institutions that's been doing a lot of modeling. Their most recent prediction is that Wisconsin would see 8 deaths per day on average through August. And for a while there, we were well below that. Right after that came out, we were like at 4 and 5 every day. And now the last several days, we've been in double digits, at 19 each of the past 2 days, and then 22 the day before that. So that's not good. So the percentage of confirmed cases that have been confirmed to have been recovered at 62% is good. However, we're finding so many more cases that the number of active cases is still going up. You'd like to see a curve where like the active cases kind of peak and then go back down. We have more active cases today than we did yesterday. More people are either getting infected or more people are being discovered to have the infection than are recovering every day. So now we're at about 6,300 active cases. And just a couple of days ago, we were like at 5,000. So that's not great. But the good news is now that a lot of those people would have been infected for a while and just not been found, not been tested positive. So now there are 6,300 people who we know have it. We can isolate and then trace their contacts and kind of try to choke off the virus that way. Racial disparities continue to stand out. Latino population, 33.5%. So just a little bit more than 1 out of every 3 people of those 18,249 are Latino. Latino people make up only 7% of the state's population. So that means, they're almost 5 times as likely to have the disease. Luckily, so far, Latinos have not been overly disproportionate in terms of deaths. About 9.5% of deaths are Latino. So, you do have it's slightly higher than the representation in the population, but not by a lot. Not the case for Black people. 19% of all cases are Black. 25% of deaths are Black, and they only make up 6% of the state's population. So that means if you're Black, you're about 3 times as likely to get it, and if you get it, you are 4 times as likely to die from it. And again, these are not. And somebody posted some links yesterday. I appreciate those links to some articles, but this has nothing to do with biology or genetics or like just Black people by their biology being more susceptible to anything like that. It's almost entirely due to cultural factors, economic factors, access to healthcare, disparities in healthcare, and the kind of jobs people have. Like the more dangerous, the more essential jobs are more likely to be occupied by Latino and Black folks, and more white people like myself have this privilege of being able to stay home and work, unless we have to go cover a protest. So that's most of the statistics. The rate of transmission, which, as I've explained before, but I don't mind explaining again for those who are new, The rate of transmission is the average number of people who I would infect if I were infected. So each at the beginning of this crisis, that was like 2.5 or 3. Like every person who got this virus spread passed it to on average 3 other people. So at that rate, like this thing is out of control. That's why they had to shut everything down. So if you're at 1 or less, that means the disease is under control and will continue to go down slowly. Today in Wisconsin, we are at 0.94. So about 1, a little bit less than 1. It's slightly higher than we were yesterday. The last couple of days we've been 0.93. Not a significant difference, but slightly higher, and we're just trying to keep that under 1. rt.live is where you can go to look at that number. That's got it's a nice little visualization. There you can click on where we were at 2 weeks ago, 4 weeks ago, 6 weeks ago, along with all the other states. You can kind of see where we rank among the states. So that's that is most of what I have for you today. Somebody asked about, as you can tell, there's furniture being moved upstairs. I apologize for that. Waukesha County today had 2 fatalities and 25 new cases, which is 7.6% of tests today came back positive, which is not bad, but not great, not as high, or not as low, rather, as the state average. If everyone wore a mask when going out, we could control it, but not without a vaccine. You could control it until there's a vaccine. Without a vaccine, there's no natural means by which the virus will go away. That's what I've been told by epidemiologists and things that I've interviewed. The nature is that viruses spread until they can't anymore. Wearing a mask doesn't make you immune, and it would continue to live in people and spread just very slowly until there's a vaccine, and then it would stop spreading entirely. That's my understanding. I'm not a doctor, anything like that, but that's my amateur journalist understanding of it. I'll talk a little bit about this protest. It's not coronavirus related, but you all have told me before that you don't mind taking this daily update to talk about some other news. As you know, George Floyd was killed on Monday, apparently by a Minneapolis police officer who put his knee on the back of Mr. Floyd's neck for an extended period of time, at least 8 or 9 minutes, until George lost consciousness and subsequently passed away. That has incited protests and riots in Minneapolis. It's not clear entirely that the rioting part of it, the riots and looting, is really connected to the protest. But there has been certainly a lot of anger, a lot of upset in Minneapolis and other communities. There have been also protests in Louisville following the shooting death of Breonna Taylor by a police officer. And the police officer there in Minneapolis has actually been arrested and charged with third-degree homicide and manslaughter. But the district attorney up there in Hennepin County did say that he anticipates charges for 3 other police officers who were present and did not intervene. So a lot of people across the country have taken to the streets to protest. The protest here in Madison was, as expected, very peaceful, very loud. People were angry and were expressing their anger. We're evoking the name of Tony Robinson, who is a Madison man who was shot and killed by a police officer 5 years ago. So the protest started on the square, and then a group of a couple hundred people came marching up State Street to the Capitol Square and joined the protest. There were, I have to call the police, Madison police, and find out what their crowd estimate was. I'm going to guess 2,000 to 2,500. It was considerably larger than the reopen Wisconsin protest, which was estimated to be 1,500 people, and it was definitely larger than that. Not a lot of social distancing happening, but everybody had a mask. I bet, fewer than 10 people who did not have a mask. It made it actually kind of difficult to hear the speakers because I don't think they had a permit exactly, and they certainly didn't have like a lot of amplification. So they had basically a bullhorn, and it was kind of hard to understand them through their bullhorn and their masks. It was almost funny that they kept having to take their masks off, and each of them then sanitized the bullhorn between speakers. It was very cautious and responsible. Um, and there was a police presence, but the police honestly were more engaged in directing traffic than in monitoring the protest. Um, they had several streets closed off for the people to march. The police did have some sort of spotters up on top of tall buildings just to keep an eye on the crowd. I saw, I think, four police officers, Madison police officers, on the Capitol Square, and then two or three Capitol Police up near the building. And then there were probably five or six police down near the jail, the public safety building where the jail is. So basically, the protest started in the Capitol Square. Some other people came up and joined it, and then we marched around the block down to the jail. That's where most of the speaking took place, and then marched back up to the square, down East Wash to Williamson Street, East Washington Avenue. Sorry for those non-Madison people. Down East Washington Avenue to Williamson Street, which is where Tony Robinson was shot 5 years ago, and there's more speeches there. So again, we actually had two photographers there plus myself. I took about an hour of live video of most of the speeches. So if you scroll down on our Facebook page, you'll see a lot of that video. And we got some great photos, and I got some good quotes, and I'll have that story up for you and some photos up for you later. I hope later tonight. It might be in the morning, depending on when I get the photos processed and stuff. So watch Madison365.org for that. Watch our Facebook page. I'm just checking on comments, make sure we got all the questions. And it looks like we did. So I appreciate your attention. If you have any questions or stories you think we should cover, it's news@madison365.org. News@madison365.org. Shoot us an email and stop by madison365.org/donate to support the work. We're a 501c3 nonprofit, so any donation is tax deductible. If it's important to you to support local, independent, nonprofit news, we'd always appreciate your support. Thank you for your attention, and enjoy the rest of your Saturday, and we will see you tomorrow.